Yesterday we were talking about oja, nutritive essence or essences, which are rendered as potent and effective, or they possess the quality of potency and effectiveness. In the materiality or in the body, there are these oja, nutritive essences, which are contained in food, water, even the fresh air, especially these so-called food supplements, which can cause new materialities in the body. As the medical science have invented, these food supplements, they have the potency and effectiveness which are required by everybody to build up their bodies. And this oja has associated states. They are contained in the food in the form of 6 tastes, 6 kinds of tastes: sweet, sour, bitter, hot, and so on. So too, in the spiritual aspect, cultivating knowledge, seeing the true nature from the basics, with discriminating knowledge, which is known as paññā in Pali. What are these things that are known in a discriminating way? They are the realities of mind and body, leading to the ultimate cessation of formations. Seeing the nature of the conditioned phenomena in terms of their characteristics, beginning with the characteristic of impermanence, that these objects arise and pass away. They are not transient, they are intransient. Whatever is impermanent cannot be satisfactory. Whatever is impermanent and unsatisfactory cannot be self or soul. Especially when we come to the stage of seeing the fading away of mind-body objects, the old giving place to the new in a fleshing manner, cultivating knowledge. At this point, you come to, this is knowing in a discriminating way. This is also paññā, until you reach the maturity of the practice, maturity of your discriminating knowledge, and realize the path and fruition knowledge of the noble ones, perceiving the cessations, total cessations. That also is paññā, discriminating knowledge. You are knowing the nature of these conditioned phenomena in a very clear-cut manner, and such is paññā, discriminating knowledge. There are these nutriments in the practice, in the mind and mental states. They are also like material nutriments. They are potent and effective in the form of paññā. They are like the food nutriments. They are spiritual nutriments which are contained in the mind and mental states. Hence, as much as there are these oja, nutriments in the body, we have the essence, nutritive essence in the Dhamma in the form of mind and mental states. These are the spiritual essences or spiritual nutriments. In a sense, we call this Dhamma oja or Dhammoja, the nutritive essences of the Dhamma or spiritual essences, spiritual nutriments. When you are practicing mindfulness, and if you try to analyze the noting mind, you will find out these nutritive spiritual nutriments which are like the material nutriments, oja, such as faith, saddha, which is a sort of oja, nutriment, spiritual nutriment. Then we have virya, energy, another kind of spiritual nutriment in the mind and mental states. And also the mindfulness and concentration, they are also spiritual nutriments, ojas. As faith and confidence enters a stream of consciousness, that is, you in state of faith, you are said to be absorbing this spiritual nutriment in the form of faith. When you will not accept those which are not worthy of faith, which are not worthy of faith and confidence, these will be overcome, these will be abandoned. And so also when this viriya, spiritual nutriment, enters a stream of consciousness, that is, when you exert energy, you will not accept defilements. By not accepting, they are said to be overcome, opening the way to wholesome states. And when you activate mindfulness, your mind is protected. This is also another spiritual nutriment that you are able to possess, by which your mind is protected, so that unnecessary things leave your stream of consciousness, because the mind is fully protected or safeguarded. Such are Dhamma oja or Dhammoja, spiritual nutriments. They are also Paṇḍitā, discriminating, they are given as Paṇḍitā, discriminating knowledge, as given in the text. Just as you have food supplements like vitamins A, B and so on, which are very essential to build up your body as food supplements, so too in the mind, in spiritual aspect, there are these spiritual nutriments. Like in the material nutriment and materialities, these material nutriment are very essential. They are very protective. They give, they're beneficial for the body. So too, the spiritual nutriments are beneficial for the mind.
မိမိတို့ရရှိထားတဲ့ရုပ်ကိုယ်ကြီးကိုရုပ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာတရားတွေကိုရှိကံကလည်းပဲအရင်ကလေးနဲ့ပြုပြင်ပေးပါတယ်ရှိကံရောက်အခုဖြစ်ပေါ်တဲ့ရုပ်ကိုယ်ကြီးကိုလည်းပဲစိတ်နဲ့ပြုပြင်ပေးရတာလည်းရှိပါတယ်ကိုယ်ဥဒုမျှမျှတတကြောင့်လည်းပြုပြင်ပေးရပါတယ်ခါရလည်းပြုပြင်ပေးရပါတယ်ကံတက်တဲ့ကြောင့်ဖြစ်တဲ့ရုပ်ကိုအခုမျက်မှောက်တက်ရှင်တဲ့ကာလမှာကြည်လင်တဲ့စိတ်ညတ်တာတဲ့ဥဒုတင့်တော်တဲ့အစာအစာအာဟာရနဲ့ပြုပြင်မပေးရင်ခဏလေးပြည့်စည်တော့သွားနေတာပဲဒါတော့ပြုပြင်ပေးရပါတယ်ရုပ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာကထင်ရှားတော့ပြုပြင်ပေးရမယ့်အရာဟာရုပ်လောက်ပဲရှိတယ်လို့အများအဖြစ်နားလည်တော့ရုပ်ကိုပဲအစာချွေးကြတာပါအပြုပြင်ပေးကြတာပါအချို့တော့မှရုပ်ကိုတော့မှပြစ်ထားပါတယ်စိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာအစာအစာတွေရှိတယ်စိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာလည်းအစာတွေကျွေးရမယ်ဆိုတာနားလည်သူရှားပါတယ်ကျွေးကြတာတော့ဆရာဘာသာအရာပေါ့လေရှိကကိုယ်ဝယ်မှုနဲ့ရှိကကိုယ်ဝယ်ခံရတဲ့တကုရှင်ကလူတွေလူသမားကိုအကုန်လုံးချပေးတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ယုံကြည်ချက်နဲ့ကိုယ်ဝယ်ခံသူရဲ့ဆိုင်ရာဘုရားတွေပေါ်မှာပဲပုံပြီးတော့ယုံထားတာပဲမိခိုမှုသိအားကြီးပါတယ်လူသမားလူတွေလူသမားဟာတွေလူသားတွေလူသမားဟာတွေကိုယ်ကံဖြစ်တဲ့ကိုယ်ရှင်ကချပေးမှာပဲဆိုတာပုံယုံထားတယ်ကိုယ်အတွက်ဥစ္စာရဲ့ဥစ္စာရဲ့ခဲဆိုတဲ့အတိုင်းကိုယ်အတွက်လုံးဝမှုရှိကြဘူးမရှိတော့ဘာဖြစ်သွားလဲဆိုတော့တစ်ဖက်မှာတစ်ခါလေယုံပုံထားတော့ယုံကြည်မှုလည်းမရှိဘူးကြိုးစားမှုလည်းမရှိဘူးတကယ်ဆန္ဒလည်းမရှိဘူးကြိုးစားမှုလည်းမရှိဘူးတတိလည်းမရှိဘူးသမာဓိလည်းမရှိဘူးဆိုတော့စိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာကအောက်ပဲကောင်းတော့အောင်လို့ပဲသံတတိတိညံ့လာပါလေလိုတဲ့ချမ်းမြေ့မှုတွေမရှိပဲနဲ့ Don't go. You know what? The Wabi Wapia that is near. Put up your swallow, I didn't know how who's one argo. Yoko, Cubian and needy, she did say by saying I never Cubian and needy, a cheap mess of that, Tilly Judge, Java. You by saying, Sunday chedded, Sunday cheated, telephone. See that day, Jaja took for your daughter to say by saying, however, Dhamma for it, Sunday she telephone the area, Jaja for your daughter. Don't need kindly a goal. Yakava. Having my low, Erari, Miyuki. The question to a golo, Luria Chabi Mesera, Miku, I think Ajiro, who saw my Tojaro. Say by Sayapa, Santa Tiviana. Don't worry about it, she got it. And I live as I see that here. Runakoma.
There are these methods to improve your body by means of materialities, that is the material way of improving your body. So also there are methods to improve your mind by mental means. Just as you improve your body by adjusting the weather conditions like heat and cold, and also by taking food as is necessary, there are methods to improve your body. So too in the mind. Now in the body, you have the existing body, which is a result of your past karma, actions. Karma produced materiality. Instead of leaving it as it is, if you leave it as it is, then it will not be improved. So you have to improve by means of mind, weather, and food. So people understand how to improve their body by material means. However, very few people understand how to improve their mind. They approach several denominations, several religious sects, religions, in which the Supreme Being is said to give you everything so long as you rely on this Supreme Being. And whatever is required, so long as you have confidence in the Supreme Being, the Supreme Being will help you. So that you don't want to strive by yourself. You don't want to make any endeavor by yourself to undertake the practice to improve your mind. Because you put everything on the Supreme Being. You make dependence totally on the Supreme Being. So that there will be no cultivation of mindfulness or concentration, so that you are not well progressive mentally. So that it becomes like a blunt knife. And when a knife is not used, it becomes blunt instead of being sharp. So also your mind will not become sharp, instead it will become blunt and useless. In this way, one ends one's life and again reborn in another, and in this way one traverses the round of births and rebirths. Not so with the Buddha. As much as there are methods to improve the body, there are methods to improve the mind. They are none other than this oja, dhammoja, the spiritual nutriments, which are also potent and effective, like the material food supplements, material nutritive essences. And very few people understand this method. Or even if they understand, they do not use this method. Instead, they rely on the Supreme Being for everything, You think that the Supreme Being will give you everything you want so long as you have confidence in Him. And in this way, you are not effective, your mind does not stay effective or potent.
ရုပ်ကိုပြုပြင်တဲ့အကြောင်းတွေထဲမှာအာဟာရကပြုပြင်ပုံလေးတွေနည်းနည်းပါပါထုတ်ပြပြီးတော့စိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာစွမ်းတတ္တိဖြစ်မြမှုတွေဖြစ်လာပုံလေးပေါ့လေလိုက်ရှိပြီးတော့ဖော်ပြပါမယ်။သာသမယအစာမှာတောက်သမယရေပါပေါ့ပြီးတော့တရှိလက်ဆက်တဲ့လေရှိဆက်ရတဲ့လေမှာပါရှိတဲ့ဩဇာတဟာရုပ်ကိုဖြစ်စေနိုင်ပါလေရုပ်အတိအတိတွေကိုဖြစ်စေနိုင်ပါလေမိမိနဲ့တင့်တော်တဲ့အစားအစာနဲ့ရှင်းမြားတာပေါ့လေရွေးချယ်ပြီးတော့ဇီဝရခေယပညာယဆိုတဲ့အတိုင်းအသက်ကိုဉာဏ်နဲ့စောင့်ရမယ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေစားတော့သုံးဆွဲလို့ရှိရဲ့ကောင်းတဲ့ယုတ်များတိုးဝလာပါလေကောင်းတဲ့ယုတ်ကြီးတိုးဝပြီးတော့ဝါချိုးတယ်ကြည်လင်တယ်စီပင်ချမ်းပါတဲ့ယုတ်တွေဒါတွေဖြစ်လာတော့တာပါပဲဆေးကကူပြီးလို့ရှိရင်ဆေးအကူညီနဲ့လည်းပဲပုံပြီးတော့မှကောင်းတဲ့ယုတ်တွေတိုးဝပြီးတော့ဝါချိုးကြည်လင်စီပင်ချမ်းပါတဲ့ယုတ်တွေဖြစ်လာတာတော့ထင်ရှားပါဝိသေတော်ရဲ့အစာအသောက်နဲ့ဆေးများကိုညဉ့်ညမ်းတဲ့လေများကိုသုံးရဆွဲရစားရရှူမိဆိုင်ပြီးလို့ရှိရင်မကောင်းတဲ့ယုတ်များတိုးဝပြီးတော့ယုတ်တည်ညှိုးနွမ်းတာတွေတွေးချောက်တာတွေအားနေပြီးတော့ယောဂါတွေရတာတွေဒါတွေကမြင့်မြတ်ပါပဲအထူးသဖြင့်အာယု6ပါးထဲမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အနအာယုဟာအထီးရောက်ဆုံးပဲအမှန်တော့ပုံကြီးတဲ့အနာနေနားလိုက်ရှိချက်ချင်းကောင်းခဲ့တယ်လို့တော့အစိမ့်နဲ့ရှူလိုက်လို့ရှိရင်ချက်ချင်းတော့မှမူးလဲပြီးတော့သိသွားနိုင်တာပဲဒါကြီးမြင့်မြတ်ပဲဒီတော့တင့်တော်တဲ့အစားအသောက်နဲ့ရှင်းများကိုသုံးဆွဲစားတော့အလေးအထားရှိတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဟာအသက်လည်းရှိကြတယ်အနာရောဂါကင်းပြီးတော့အကျမ်းမာရေးတွေလည်းရကြတယ်ခုနစောစောကပြောသလိုဝါဖြိုးတဲ့ကြည်လင်တဲ့စီပင်ကျမ်းမာတဲ့ရုပ်တွေဖြစ်နေတယ်ဆိုတာလည်းပဲဘယ်သူမှညင်းလို့မရပါဘူးတို့တူပဲစိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာမှာလိုအပ်တဲ့အားတွေဩဇာနဲ့တည်တဲ့အားတွေထည့်တတ်လို့ရှိရင်ထည့်နိုင်လို့ရှိရင်ထည့်လဲထည့်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒီမနာအောက်ဝယ်ကောင်းတော့အောင်စိတ်အစွမ်းတတ္တိတွေဟာထူးခြားလာတာပဲစိတ်တရားလည်းပဲထက်မြက်လာတာပါပဲအမှန်တရားကိုအောက်ဝယ်ကောင်းတော့အောင်ဖြစ်လာပါတယ်ဟောဒီတိဋ္ဌိဘာဝနာတရားအထုနေတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သူတို့ဘာသာသူတို့ပြောလာတာစိတ်တည်တယ်မဟုတ်ဘူးရုပ်တွေကပြောင်းလဲသွားတာသူတို့ဘာသာသူတို့ပြောလာတာပဲဘယ်လိုမှသူတို့ယုံကြည်ခိုင်းဖို့မလိုတော့ဘူးသူတို့ဘာသာသူတို့သိလာတာပဲစိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာရောရုပ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာရောနှမျိုးလုံးပေါ့လေသူတို့ကအောက်ဝယ်ကောင်းတော့အောင်ကိုပဲပြောင်းလဲဖို့ရှိလာတာကျူရည်လည်းတရားထုတ်ပြီးတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေသူတို့ပြောကြပါလားမြေဘဝမှာပဲအရှင်လတ်လတ်ကဘာဟောက်တစ်ခုကနေပြီးကဘာတိတစ်ခုပြောင်းလဲသွားရတယ်လို့ဟောနေဘဝတိတိပြောင်းလဲသွားတယ်သူတို့ပြောကြပါလားရိုးရိုးလေးနဲ့အမှန်ထိရောက်တဲ့မချိတ်ရှာမှုတစ်ခုပါပဲ။ဒါဒီတိဋ္ဌာန်တရားကိုရေးလေအထုကြည့်ပါအထုကြည့်လို့ရှိရင်ရုပ်တည်လည်းပဲပြောင်းလဲသွားနိုင်ပါတယ်စိတ်တည်လည်းပြောင်းလဲသွားနိုင်ပါတယ်
We can compare the way the body is improved with food by taking suitable food with the mental aspect by taking the effectiveness in the mental aspect by taking the spiritual nutriments. Now, in the food are the nutritive essences. In the food, in ordinary food that we take, even in water and in fresh air, there are these nutriments which can cause new materialities. So that if you are taking suitable food and suitable medicines, food supplements, like the saying in this country, that one's life is guarded by good knowledge. By knowing how to improve or guard yourself, you can always make your life a healthy one. So, if you take suitable food, you're bound to get new materialities in the form of health and longevity. It is quite obvious. However, if you take unsuitable food or unhealthy food, then you're bound to get very unhealthy, which will lead to unhealthy materialities. Even you may get infected, disease. Among the 6 sense objects, the smell or odor is the worst, in that if you smell something unwholesome, a putrid smell, rotten smell, it can cause you headache, and if you smell something poisonous, you may become fatal. Therefore, it is necessary to take suitable food, suitable sense objects, so that this will lead you longevity and health and strength. So too in the matter of mind, in the mental aspect, there are these mental, spiritual nutriments, oja. If you take these mental nutriments, spiritual nutriments, you are bound to realize the most effective and potent mentality in a very wonderful manner. Especially with the practice of Satipatthana, the way of mindfulness, the yogis would say that they experience a transformation in their life, both mentally and physically. They themselves speak it up. They said both the mind and body have changed in a wonderful manner, even in this very life, as though they are living a new life, as though they are living in a new world. So it is so simple and effective. That is, this kind of remark is very simple but very effective. Something to remember, something to note, that noteworthy. So just try and practice this mindfulness practice. You are bound to experience transformation both your body and mind. The Buddha himself had he practiced Satipatthana by himself. That is, he in a way compounded this formula in order to overcome the different grades of mental diseases, such as gross form of mental disease, the medium form and the refined form of mental diseases, so as to transform one's life. And by practicing himself and realizing the benefit of the practice, Buddha preached this way of mindfulness to all beings to practice like he did. This can cause the transformation of both the mind and the body, so that both the mind and body become healthy with new materialities, new mentalities. The Buddha himself had invented this formula, discovered this formula, and revealed this, preached this to all beings. And as he made the declaration at the beginning of the great discourse on the way of mindfulness, that this is a sure way for the purification of the mind. By noting the 4 kinds of objects of the body, mental objects, sensations and Dhamma objects at the very moment of arising, with activated mindfulness. And this is also the sure way to overcome grief and lamentation. In this way, this is the sure way to overcome these mental diseases and ultimately for the cessation of physical mental distress, which have been all along with us, and to overcome the latent defilements which have been lying dormant in our minds. With the practice of two kinds of paths, namely Ubhavaga Mega, the preliminary or the forerunner path, and Ariya Mega, which is the aftermath of this forerunner path, that is the path consciousness, or the path of the noble ones. In this way, the Buddha has given assurance that this is the sure way to realize peace and happiness. In this way, 7 benefits have been given in the beginning of the great discourse of mindfulness, which is very simple and effective. This kind of benefits are not trivial, they are significant, tremendous, and in this way, by understanding these benefits, one arouses one's faith and confidence, saddha, which is developed with the practice by noting every arising object. In accordance with the saying, to guard your mind with vigilant mindfulness of every arising at the moment of their arising in the body, energetically applying your noting mind to the object with focused attention, which will, with the awakened faith, will be followed by the zeal to undertake the practice. And this strong desire will lead to the exertion of your energy in order to cultivate your mindfulness and deepen your concentration. Such is, all these things tantamount to exertion or practicing. Hence, this is the practice of meditation. As one notes, so that the noting mind is concurrent with the object of attention, this also is one way of exertion, or one way of practicing. And then one exerts energy in order to drive the noting mind to the object of attention. Such also is a way of exertion or practicing, leading to intensive mindfulness, and all these things amount to exertion or practicing. And this is not depending on a supreme being. This is self-exertion or self-dependence, depending on your own practice, depending on your own exertion. And you yourself are doing it, not depending on others. So the Buddha says that one must not depend on others. One must depend on oneself. When we say depend on oneself, means depend on the Dhamma. Here the Dhamma means the practice of the way of mindfulness, Satipatthana, on which one should depend in order to cultivate knowledge. As for others, they are depending on Supreme Being instead of exerting by themselves, instead of practicing. Hence, one should depend on oneself instead of depending on others. This is the practice of meditation, is self-reliance, self-dependence. And if one practices with the correct method, one is bound to progress day by day. And one will be able to focus better and better by being able to exert to apply the mindfulness with focused attention. So that this one is bound to cultivate knowledge, beginning with the discernment of mind and body. This is cultivating the true nature of the objects. So this is kind of energy which is exerted time after time, and one is said to be developing it. So when one is able to activate mindfulness, deepen energy, deepen concentration and cultivate knowledge, one will come to say, yes, this is correct, this is extremely correct, especially when one comes to the stage of fleeting momentary nature of experience, the old giving place to the new in a fleeting manner, then one comes to full acceptance that this is extremely correct by comparing the practice and the benefit that one gains as a result of the practice, that this is quite correct. In this way, one cultivates faith and confidence in a very strong manner. With faith there will be exertion of energy, virya, leading to sustained mindfulness and intensified concentration. Then one will be able to cultivate knowledge. Such are material or mental essences, oja, dhammoja. Cultivating insight knowledge through the basics, progressing along the path until one realizes the path and fruition or knowledge of the noble ones, by which one is able to overcome the gross forms of defilement to the point of no return, by gaining assurance in one's life. And one will be able to overcome the obsessive kind of defilements known as pariyotana kilesas. That means the kind of defilements which can arise in your mind. And one will be able to even overcome or uproot the relevant latent tendencies of defilements, anusya kilesas, to the point of no return. Then one's life is set to become assured. You are set to possess assured life. And such is the benefit of the practice of Satipatthana by way of noble path of 8 constituents, which are like the Dhamma medicine, Dhamma remedy preached by the Buddha. They are like multivitamins or food supplements. Buddha himself had practiced by himself and discovered this method, and he preached the method to all beings, so that they will also be able to overcome these mental diseases, so that one can realize the genuine kind of happiness. So like taking suitable food in order to possess healthy, strong body, which are, by taking this potent and effective and physical nutriments, so too, when you take these spiritual nutriments, you are bound to experience a transformation of your life. If one practices Satipatthana and repeatedly cultivates Satipatthana, the 7 factors of enlightenment are said to be fulfilled. By this, one can also cure diseases which cannot be cured by ordinary means, as has been mentioned in this book called In This Very Life. Not only now, but even in the Buddha's time, there are such cases. At one time, Mahakassapa, one of the great disciples, chief disciples, was sick, and when the Buddha went there and asked after his health, Mahakassapa said his disease was not lessening, it was progressing. That means the disease is getting worse. So at that time the Buddha preached the 7 factors of enlightenment, Bojjhanga Dhammas, which Mahakassapa listened to. So by listening, at that time, while listening to this Bojjhanga Dhamma, Mahakassapa had this thought in his mind. He thought to himself, on the 7th day of his attainment of hardship, he was able to, on the 7th day of his entering the Buddha Sasana as a monk, that means 7th day after he donned the robes, he was able to realize the Four Noble Truths. That means Bojjhanga Dhammas also were involved at that time. At this time, the Mahakassapa had this thought that by following the method of practice and the discipline, Dhamma discipline, the Buddha's sasana, that is teaching, is the real method, the real way for the liberation of suffering. And he was very much devoted to this. And while he was thinking about this, he experienced the clarity of his blood. The blood circulation became very clear, Lohitam proceeding, leading to the sensitivity and acuteness of the sense organs or derived materialities, Upada Rupam, Visuddham, Ahoti, including these sensitive organs include the heart itself. The heartbeat becomes normal. Like the disease also is gone. Disease also was gone. Like when you drop a drop of water on a lotus leaf. Now, a drop of water will fall down at once. So too, just like a water drop is cast away from the lotus leaf, so too, Mahakassapa's disease was gone. So this also happened. It's just an example that this kind of thing happened during the Buddha's time, and it is not now that it is happening. Even now, if you practice this Bojjhanga Dhammas, you are sure to be cured of the diseases which cannot be cured by ordinary means. That's all for today. That's all for today. That's all for today.